Sorry. That
no, you're not sorry.
That is demonstrably... Sorry.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're looking at 10 times Ian Hislop took politicians and the government to task.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Are you saying they were guilty, all these people?
No, I'm not saying they were guilty. Obviously, I'm not.
So
not
they
with
would
those
be
cases.
dead?
Boris Johnson.
What will you all miss most of all about Boris, the Prime Minister? Ian?
I suppose I'll really miss being able to say this will end badly.
Many times Hislop has made his disdain for Boris Johnson clear, often to his face during Johnson's handful of appearances on Have I Got News For You. When Johnson appeared as a panellist, he infamously went on record saying the whole show was rigged against him.
Tonight I'm wearing a tie with balloons on it, but it's not a party. This is a work event for me.
He's also appeared as a host, which led to some very spurious accusations that, had he not shown up on the BBC, he might not have become Prime Minister.
I mean, I didn't vote Boris in. I thought he was absolutely unsuitable and unfit for any office. The whole of London, Europe's biggest electorate, votes Boris in twice, so don't blame us.
Hislop was outraged by this, going after Johnson yet again, and also all the people who voted for him. Johnson remains a popular object of ridicule for Hislop. Michael Ashcroft.
It's an act of amazing revenge by the Mail in cohorts with Lord Ashcroft, which the whole country has decided to believe.
2015 was a big year for politics. On the one hand, the Tories clinched a majority in that year's May election, ending the party's reliance on the Lib Dems and the coalition. But on the other hand, only a few months after electoral victory, a story appeared in the Daily Mail that David Cameron had, during his university years, undergone an initiation ritual involving a dead pig.
But no, we've all taken this seriously, and there's the grinning Lord Ashcroft, who, I mean, you know, if you want to talk about members inserted into, you know, the House of Lords...
This came from an unauthorised biography written by Michael Ashcroft, but on that week's Have I Got News For You, Hislop had no time for Ashcroft and his revenge scheme.
This man, Lord Ashcroft, who gave the Tories all this money, thought he could get himself into the cabinet, thought he could buy himself a cabinet post.
All this because he hadn't been able to bribe his way into the Tory cabinet. Alistair Campbell. It's not just the Tories that Hislop mocks, he also went after the Labour Party's notorious former spin doctor Alistair Campbell.
You shocked, Alistair?
I'm shocked.
You. I'm glad you're shocked.
This episode of Have I Got News For You was from 2012 and saw Campbell hosting as the panel discussed the still ongoing News of the World phone hacking scandal. The Tory Director of Communications, Andy Coulson, was ultimately charged with perjury for also being involved in the scandal.
Andy Coulson.
He's been arrested for perjury.
Yes.
During a trial where someone else was on trial for perjury.
Yes.
Hislop went on to discuss how Campbell, too, was a director of communications, who knew the paper's former editor, Rebecca Brooks, and suggested that the Met might soon be knocking on his door.
Well, they haven't charged you yet.
Alberto Costa. Tory MP for South Leicestershire, Alberto Costa found himself in the firing line during the Commons Standards Committee in early 2022.
The night before the event, a member of my staff phoning me up who had been working extraordinarily hard over the COVID period.
Private Eye staff appear remarkably frequently in committees like this, and this time they came with ammunition, in the form of a ticket to the Euros Costa had accepted from Heineken.
I would say you would refer him to the Prime Minister's excuse that all his staff are incredibly hard-working and therefore deserve a drink at the end of the day.
Costa was offered free tickets to the 2021 semi-final at Wembley, and according to him, he declined the gift. But he did that by, in fact, accepting it, and then giving the tickets to a member of his staff. Hislop wasn't having any of this, and hugely criticised Costa for taking the gift at all.
Well, it's not an excuse, it's the fact.
But you're using a fact as an excuse, and I'm saying I don't think it's terribly convincing.
Brexit. Hislop was one of the many British public figures who was on the side of Remain during the Brexit referendum, and appeared on Question Time shortly after the Leave vote won to talk about it all.
After an election or a referendum, even if you lose the vote, you are entitled to go on making the argument. When a government...
In a move that would surely annoy the country's Brexiteers, Hislop was steadfast that it didn't matter that Remain had lost. That absolutely didn't mean that they had to stop talking about the issue.
When a government in this country wins an election, the opposition does not just say, oh, that's absolutely right, I've got nothing to say for 5 years.
He masterfully pointed out the absurdity in thinking political losers needed to just grin and bear their defeats without complaint, and then derided David Cameron for resigning after losing the vote he had called.
The Leave vote has left us with a group of leaders who, having lit the fire, have all run away, saying someone else can clear up the mess.
Priti Patel.
And actually, on that basis alone, I would actually support the reintroduction of capital punishment to serve as a deterrent.
One of the most prominent supporters of capital punishment this century, Priti Patel, in 2011, appeared on Question Time to talk about why she thought the UK should reintroduce it. But she was quickly attacked by Ian Hislop, who pointed out a handful of very real cases where people were wrongfully convicted and, had capital punishment still existed in this country, may have been executed for crimes they didn't commit.
Over the years, large numbers of these cases have been found to be entirely wrong, and the men convicted, almost all of the men, there's a couple of women, have been found innocent.
The most noteworthy moment comes when Patel says capital punishment would be a deterrent, to which Hislop points out,
it's not a deterrent killing the wrong people.
Well, no, capital punishment would act as a deterrent.
all those wrongfully convicted people were presumably already deterred from committing violent crimes, considering they hadn't done so in the first place. Johnny Mercer.
No, it's not the veterans bit, it's the £85,000 for a 4-hour job.
In 2019, Tory MP and British Army veteran Johnny Mercer was on Have I Got News For You, right in the wake of his Crucial Academy scandal.
It's about your behaviour and the fact that you didn't know and didn't ask as a non-executive director, where does the money come from for this
I did
company?
ask where it came from, and it came from the business that's generated by the business that we do.
Mercer had been working for Crucial Academy as a consultant since 2018, taking home a massive amount of money. And then it was found out that Crucial Academy was allegedly getting money from a dodgy bond scheme that went bankrupt, as reported by the Beeb, which soon found itself sued.
They were providing the money that kept your company going.
No, they
you were a
didn't.
non-exec.
No, they didn't. That's why the BBC are being sued for libel.
Hislop argued with Mercer about this on air, calling Mercer out for not being more suspicious about how this company was able to pay him so much. John Prescott. More Labour. Former Deputy Prime Minister John Prescott has appeared on Have I Got News For You many times. In this appearance, he was on Paul Merton's team and was quickly challenged on his political record yet again.
Look at the top pledge on the top. We will invade Iraq against the wishes of the people of Britain.
Ian brings up the Labour government's disastrous invasion of Iraq, only for Prescott to say that Labour should be forgiven because Ed Miliband stopped the British Army from invading Syria years later.
Is the manifesto meant to be a massive surprise to Labour candidates?
And then Victoria Corrin-Mitchell got involved to ask why the Labour Party didn't appear to know the contents of its own manifesto.
I know you've got problems with the press and your private life, John.
I think the last time you raised it, you got the same move. Why don't you be more specific and say it?
But Prescott really couldn't hold his own when he started bringing up Private Eye's many legal disputes.
In private eye, you're sued every day, for God's sake, for what you say about people.
No, we're not.
Rwanda.
It's amazing you can still say Rwanda with a straight face. I mean, that's an extraordinary achievement.
Why do you say that?
The government's plan to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda has been a major issue in British politics as of late, and Hislop appeared on Question Time yet again to talk about it and the absurdity of the policy.
The government puts asylum seekers in places which are already deprived, quite often because it's easier and cheaper.
The conversation then moved on to the Knowsley riots, a violent protest outside a hotel housing asylum seekers in early 2023.
The reason people are in hotels and hostels for so long is because the backlog is so enormous.
While Robert Jenrick went on about the Rwanda policy, Hislop continually criticised him and the way the Tory government has whipped up outrage against asylum seekers, resulting in violence. He also points out that these hotels aren't actually pleasant places to stay and are usually badly run by people trying to turn a profit from the government.
And to blame the people in the hotels and the hostels for being there when the system has completely failed seems to be encouraging people to go round there with hammers and smash up police cars and say, it's your fault you're here.
The post office scandal.
But they told each one of them, this is really important, they told each one of the complainants, you are the only complainant. And that is straightforward fraud.
In January 2024, the UK was rocked by an ITV drama which finally put a spotlight on a massive scandal that had been raging for over 20 years. Private Eye reported on the Horizon scandal back in 2011, when prominent cases against sub-postmasters were being prosecuted.
They were incentivised to make money for the post office, and that led to ignoring what was going on in the hope of getting better remuneration, and that's disgraceful.
But it took another 13 years for the public to really grasp the scale of the injustice. Hislop appeared on Peston to talk about the scandal and the delayed response to it, coming up against Tory MP Sir Jake Berry.
Well, why couldn't you do it so long ago? The fact that it takes an ITV drama and suddenly, having been told their entire campaigning lives, this is very difficult, you'll have to go in front of a judge, this is very, very expensive, oh, this morning it isn't.
He had no time for Berry's attempts to push the blame away from the Conservative Party, pointing out the horrors of the miscarriage of justice. Let us know in the comments what you think about Ian Hislop and Private Eye.
Why didn't you two find a room? Didn't you watch that? You two find a room, and whoever comes out alive is the winner.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.